Right. In this video, we're going to go over the JavaScript function FlatMap. Now, this is something that confused the hell out of me when I first heard about this function. So we're going to go over it. Let's have a look at the file I've started. The file just contains a bog standard array of arrays. So there's an array and it has inner arrays. And then we have an array of objects that has an inner array within the object. Now, what we want to do is return a list or an array that just has all of the values in a single array. Now, I haven't typed any of them out correctly there, but you get the drift, the gist, the drift, whatever. So that's what we're going to do, and that's what FlatMap is useful for. It will flatten an array to a depth of 1, meaning we're going to have one array out of this. So let's first look at how you do this with a traditional for loop. So the actual way you do this with a traditional for loop is not with one for loop, but we have to have two, because of course we have to iterate over the arrays within the array like this. So the first outer loop will iterate over these, and then the inner one will iterate over the numbers, and we will have to push these to this new array, and that's how you do that. So let's just demonstrate this for the purpose of this. So you could say, XR of R, and this will be, we need to now go over the numbers. So let num of XR, and then we can just say loop result dot push, and then pass in num there. Great. And we have our logging at the bottom, so that'll work. And what the hell have I done there? Ah, yes, of course. We haven't defined that yet. That doesn't matter. I will just define something over here. Const result equals that. So that stops moaning. Brilliant. So now we can see that we have this single array that gets returned since we've used FlatMap. We haven't used FlatMap, sorry. We've used a loop. So using this loop, you can see it's a bit of a pain, because what we've actually done here is taken like 5 lines. We've done an inner loop, and let's say we had a further nested structure, right? Let's just demonstrate that. Let's say nested, and let's say we had just one of these had an additional structure inside it, right? Suddenly this nonsense becomes a bit inadequate, because you can't really do it very easily, because it will get to this point. You'd have to have another loop for that, but you'd have to have a condition that checks that inner array of the inner array is actually present, and then we can loop over it. It's a pain, and I don't recommend it. So I'm going to show you what we can do with FlatMap. So with FlatMap, what we can do is, if we start messing about with it now, we can do array.flatmap like this, and we can say it's inner, so we can just say x, doesn't really matter, and do that and run it, and oh my god, it works in one go. Look at how much better this syntax is compared to this syntax. So what's actually happening here is that for everything in the array, we are essentially doing a callback and basically taking the value and mapping it to the value, but we are flattening the array as we do so, so we only get that flat array. That's what it's doing. And let's say we were to just switch this now out, instead of having R and we just did nested, right? The same bloody thing will happen. See? We've got those two inner arrays. They've just been flattened perfectly. We didn't have to have another loop. We didn't have to have another condition to check for this particular weird data structure, because these sort of things do happen, where you have an inconsistent data structure like this, and you'd have to have some sort of stupid check for it if you were doing it for loop. But with the FlatMap method, we don't have to do that. It's just totally normal. So now let's think about what we can do here. We've got some names of owners of cars, and we want to get those out and get them to a list, so to just a single array. Well, again, if we were to do this with the for loop, we have to basically do this exact same thing here, but instead of doing that, instead of starting over the array, we start over the cars, and then we do cars, and then that will be And of course, then this will be of XR, should I say? And then what we can do, we want to actually also say .owners here. And then this will be, it won't actually be car, it'll be owner, but whatever, we'll run it. And we can see down here, look at that, we've got all the names. We've got Dave, Max Power, that's a great name, you'd love to touch that name. Biggest Dickers, Huge Ass, Mr. Lover Lover, and Bend Over. So they'll all work, and we've done that with a for loop. And of course, now I'm going to show you the exact same example, but instead of using a for loop, we're going to use the FlatMap method. So if we do cars, and then here where we've got X, we would just do x.owners, like that. Run the same thing again, and oh my god, look at that. It was so much better, so much quicker. Look at how nice this lovely little syntax is. So that's about all. If you have any questions, leave them down below. If you've liked this video, hit the like button. And if you want to see more of these videos, hit subscribe. Ooh. Thank you very much for watching. Arrivederci.